Welcome back. You're watching Sunday edition here on KTN News. Many thanks for joining us this 30th day of April 2017. Exactly 99 days to this year's general election. And today is we are getting into the business end of the political party primaries. The ODM party carrying out its nominations for the county of Nairobi after postponing it from Tuesday the 25th of this month. And we have our reporters all spread all across the county of Nairobi to just bring you the latest on what's happening in terms of the voting process that is currently underway in most of the polling stations that ODM are using. In Ruaraka and Kasarani, we have our senior political affairs reporter Duncan Kaemba. In Dagoretti South and Dagoretti North and Westlands, we have Sharon Mwanyi keeping an eye on things. Sophia Wanuna is in Embakasi East and Embakasi West. Kisa Wandera is in the lower side of Embakasi. And we also have Mark Namaso keeping an eye on things in Mathare and Starehe constituencies. Langata, we have Timothy Otieno, and very shortly we shall be having Moremi Mwangi joining us from Kibra constituency, a very big, a very important base for the ODM party in terms of the ODM, in terms of Nairobi politics. Of course, remember, we don't have a contest for the senatorial position after Gabriel Bukachi Chapia was unopposed, as was the incumbent governor of Nairobi, Evans Kidero. So the big fights, the contest are in the MCA positions, a member of the county, member of the National Assembly, as well as the woman representative. That is where the big battles are, and that is what we are keeping an eye on. We shall be taking into those locations to speak to our reporters and to let them tell us some of those things that are ongoing in terms of the voting process. But here with us, we have been joined by Hesbon Owila, another political analyst here with us. We have been talking about NASA. Let's switch gears now and come back to the political party nominations. We are getting to the end of things. ODM having today Nairobi, and of course some of those that were postponed. We're having some of those disputes coming for the national election boards of those political parties. Wiper also have theirs. They're concluding things. But I want to ask this question, especially between the two sides of the political divide, between the two big political parties, ODM and Jubilee Party. There are a lot of issues that have emerged. Which of these two, and even Wiper, which of these parties have carried out the most credible nominations? Let me start with you. Welcome into the show.
I think, you know, what has come out clearly from this primary is the fact that Jubilee is a lot more organized. They've scored some points in their primaries. It was difficult for them at the beginning because they failed to take off. And the moment the party introduced the deputy president into the whole process, I think we've seen a fairly credible and free and fair electoral process. And I don't think it's so much about the process as it is about the candidates. Because what you see in Jubilee and you don't see anywhere else is the fact that even guys who are beaten, accept defeat honorably. And, if you look at what happened in a place like Murang'a, I mean, it's a case study for other political parties, where you have the governor retaining his seat, you have a new senator come on board, and then you have Honorable Sabina Chege, And then after they won, the show of force that they had, and even the voter turnout, compared to the ODM, the NASA areas, you realize that there is that perception that they take their nomination process seriously, and the party has stepped up its gear.
Don't forget, the first day, it was a complete shambles.
Yeah, sure. And you see, the first day for me was basically a question of not understanding how big the party had grown, you see. So what they had were issues of inadequate ballot papers, inadequate preparedness, because I think there are a few guys in Jubilee who still thought that they were dealing with parties that had the capacity of TNA and URP. But the moment they realized that this party has grown and it's relatively big, and they came in seriously, I think we've had a very flawless process from the Jubilee quarters.
All right, Dismas, the fact that some political parties have been saying, the fact that we have seen a lot of leader turnover in central or in Jubilee strongholds. In Nyeri, for example, where all the members of the National Assembly, apart from Kanini Kega and Kieni, were sent home. And so many governors, Kabogo, Benjamin Cheboy, Kinodi Mbugwa, going home. That has not happened on the ODM side. Is that proof enough that Jubilee had a more credible nomination?
No, you cannot use that one as a benchmark alone. If you go to the first day when Jubilee attempted to do their party primaries, of course it was a complete disaster. And what happened was a commercial interest, because you cannot understand, if a polling station has got 1,000 registered voters, why would you want to buy 200 ballots? If you don't have the other extra 800 ballots, all the agents will kick a fuss and will complain. And for the first time in Kenya's political history, you had actually candidates or aspirants calling off an election, which I think as a nation we are beginning to mature as a democracy. Now, when you talk about the high leader turnout in central Kenya, that's nothing unique. In every electoral cycle, the leaders go home, especially if you're seen to be very close to the powers that be and you're not delivering. Like, for instance, there is the MP in Ndung'u Githinji, the MP for Tetu. We said to be very close to President Kenyatta. He was among the first guys to go home. There's also a jam like Kamau, who is assumed to be close to President Kenyatta, who was given a beating in Murang'a. There was even Kembi Gitura.
So the main factor here is the proximity to power.
Yeah, and I think now Kenyans are beginning to say, we don't care how close you are to President Kenyatta.
Just hold that thought.
Or Raila Odinga.
Hold that thought. Let's take you to Ruaraka constituency. I think it's Kasarani constituency where Duncan Hayamba is. Duncan, what do you have for us?
At Lucky Summer Ward in Ruaraka constituency, and at least here there's a lot of push and pull that is going on. If you can see, there's some bit of chaos here in terms of push and pull. The reason being they've decided to merge various polling stations within this ward. So there are like around 4 polling stations that have been merged, and that explains the big number that you can see here. So the security personnel, they are on the ground, of course, but it's not so easy. If you can see over there, we have anti-riot police officers that are trying to actually ensure that there's some law and order. So we'll be trying to establish exactly what could be happening. And of course, if a team can turn with me on this side, Timothy, if you can get, those are the agents, of course, that are here, some of the agents that are seated here trying to look at how the whole thing will be. But the problem could be perhaps when you look at, these are the ballot boxes. That is where they are supposed to be. But now there's voters here, they've overcrowded the whole place. So you can't actually pinpoint where exactly that could be, because as you can see, this is where, that is the supposed ballot box. And the crowd here, of course, having it a bit difficult. Perhaps you'll be talking to, you are one of the agents. Why is it that we have some disorder here? They are supposed to be voting, the security personnel here, but why do we have the push and pull? Kinachoendelea ni nini hapa? Manake kura ni kama hazipigwi sawa, watu wanasukumana. Shida ni nini?
Okay, wanasema shida, kuna wale ambao majina yao haipatikani kwa register, and they are using the register of 2013 and also the latest one. So actually that is the main problem here. Yes.
The number inakaa kubwa. Nani ilikuwa, decision ilikuwa vipi wakamaji? Na vile unaweza ona hapa ni watu wengi sana. Mbona walimaji zote wakaweka hapa?
Okay. Kitu ile imefanya kura zote zikaletwa hapa ni kuzuia wizi wa kura, kwa sababu the incumbent, the MCA, the sitting one, tayari alikuwa amelala huko Bakita, mahali kura zilikuwa zinaenda kupigwa, na ikasemekana kwamba kuna vile ilikuwa imepangwa, ambapo aspirant wengine waliweza kushikana na wakasema they want free and fair election. That's why wali decide kama kwamba iletwe hapa kwa grao. So one of the aspirants decide akadonate this tent by the name Wilson Owuor Ochieng.
Sasa hapa ni merge polling stations ngapi?
3. Merge ground, Lakisama ground, Lakisama Tiba na Bakita playing na Bakita Chiefs compound.
Sawa sawa. We'll be trying to talk to another. Why do we have some confusion here, in fact, and what informed the merging of 3 polling stations this morning? Perhaps the reason why we are having a very big number here.
In fact, initially when the process began, there was no clear procedure on how the electorates were supposed to vote. Because in terms of procedures, the aspirants were actually creating, or rather sending mixed reaction here, and also trying to make the electorates become very anxious and raising a lot of eyebrows. So what has created these 3 lines is to actually ease the congestion of the line that we are really seeing here, so that the people can actually vote as per their respective polling stations whereby they are actually registered from.
We understand the reason we have some chaos is that voters are here and their names are missing. Could it be that the fact that they decided to merge 3 polling stations, did we bring along the registers from those particular areas?
I think even if the registers have been brought from IBC, these are not, let's say, the revised register of the IBC. Because since 2013, there are even those people who have really changed their polling stations. So even their names are not featuring here. So they are relying on using the IBC register for 2013, which actually cannot suffice in this polling station here. So what we are really saying is that that register is faulty. That register does not reflect the electorates of Lakisama, because their names are missing in the voter register.
Sawa, thank you very much.
Okay. I want to talk by experience. We will not talk of rumors. We are talking of experience. I had already voted and I know what is happening there. I had voted and I know what I have voted to. This is what is happening is here from today. If you want to say Okoa Kenya, we should vote by alphabetical orders. If your name starts from K, let us use the word K. The agents plus the IVC, those people, they are using a lot of Mombasa. Wait. They are using, the letters are mixed. O, K, W are mixed. We want to put the letters in orders. We will help Raila Amolo Odinga to be president. Hallelujah.
Well, that is the kind of confusion, but if I can just take you through, you can see maybe you can move this side. We just get the numbers that are here. I think as we walk along, so you can see the numbers. Excuse me, if you can just get out of my way. This is the queue that you can see, and it's just one of them. And you see over there, it is a sea of humanity. The reason they've decided to merge 3 polling stations, of course, they've talked of Lakisama ground, Kita, and this particular one. Now, when you look at the numbers and the kind of confusion in there, exactly you might guess what could be happening in the next 2 hours or so. And then the voting started just like 30 minutes ago. So we don't know how we're going to manage this. And remember, in Kasarani, many people said that almost half of the voters, they've gone to church. Therefore, in the afternoon is when we expect the highest number of people to turn out. But if the numbers that are here is anything to go by, then perhaps this will be one of the busiest actually polling centers in this particular constituency. And then another thing to factor in, there, just like Kasarani, the Member of Parliament, TJ Kajwang, had the nomination. Of course, this is after Elizabeth Ongoro dumped ODM for ANC. Therefore, we're only expecting the contest at the MCA level and the woman representative. Of course, we know in Nairobi County, the senatorial aspirant, of course, the governor, they were given direct nominations. When you add on to TJ Kajwang, Ruaraka, we are only looking at the woman representative and the MCA contest. Ben Kitili, over to you.
Many thanks, Duncan Haimba. They are just giving us a lowdown. Of course, that battle that was expected between Elizabeth Ongoro and TJ Kajwang not happening because of course, Elizabeth Ongoro bolted out of that political party, out of ODM to ANC. Of course, so the big contest being the woman rep and the members of the county assembly. Thanks, Duncan Haimba in Ruaraka and Kasarani constituencies, keeping an eye on what's happening there. Let's now take you live to Roysambu, where Zinzi Kibiku is also neighboring Roysambu, just next, a couple of 100 meters away from where Kayemba is. And Zinzi, what's happening there? It was a bit slow a couple of minutes ago. Has the pace picked up where you are?
Yeah. Well, that's true, Ben. Right now, we're even in Kawa West, where the voting actually began 20-30 minutes ago, specifically when Mahiga Primary School. Let me just give you and our audience a feel of how things are going around here. I'm sorry. This is where voting is currently taking place within Mahiga Primary School. They started about 30 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago. Of course, for them, they are voting today for women rep. The likes of Edwin Osana, who was given a direct nomination for MCA, as well as the Senator Gabriel Chapi was also given a direct seat for that as Senator, and Calvin Sua, who is also the Member of Parliament for this specific area. And right now I'm currently walking towards to him and really talk about how the day is progressing here. Member of Parliament Calvin Sua, thank you so much for taking time to speak to KTN. First of all, let's begin by you giving us a breakdown, because you've been here on the ground, of why polling in this specific center, why voting has begun a bit late.
Okay, there was a little bit confusion about the voting boxes. Ballot boxes arriving a little bit late, and then people are also not aware on which specific polling station where they are going to vote. So because we have to merge some polling stations to bring them at one place, so this also brought another confusion. Yes. But as for now, everything is set, and the people are getting information. They will be coming here in some few minutes' time. Because there are those who came in the morning, and due to the delay, they decided to go back. But as for now, everything is set.
You earlier on you told me there was also confusion about the agents, because some of them did not know where to go to.
That's very true.
To give me a bit more details on that.
You know, we have got candidate agents for various candidates.
Yes.
So there are those who have sent their agents here, and some have not yet. So that one also brought some little bit confusion. So made also the process to delay for a while, because it is good for you to start the process when everyone is there. So for the process to be transparent. Yes. And fair to Kenyans. All right, and you already got the direct seat for that for Member of Parliament, along with your colleague Gabriel Chapi. So for you, these elections are still very much important. That's why you're still on the ground here, despite the fact that your name is not on the ballot, just to make sure that transparency and Kenyans are aware. No, being a diehard of the party, it is good to come and also see what is happening on the ground. Also, for our people also to know, to give them directions, because some are also
not aware.
Some are not aware, and they are now calling me and giving directions. So that's very important for me being here. Yes.
All right. So Kitili, you've had right there from Member of Parliament Calvin Sua, who got the direct nomination for this specific constituency, Roysambu constituency. We are at Kahawa West, to be more specific, Mahiga Primary School, where voting just began about 20-30 minutes ago. As you've had, there's just a bit of confusion early in the morning, agents, and that has caused a little bit of problems because Kenyans are not aware which specific places to go to for this specific election. Ben?
Zinzi at Mahiga Primary School in Kahawa West, constituency of Roysambu. Close to 120,000 registered voters there. That is a battle that is ongoing, the battle to unseat Isaac Waihenya Ndirangu, who is the current Member of Parliament there. Right, let's now cross over to Langata constituency, where Timothy Otieno has been moving up and down, shuttling to just find out how the voting process began from early this morning. Timothy.
I'm waiting for my wife.
Oh, okay.
I think you are done now. So it's okay.
Kuanzia saa moja. Nasimama hapa kuanzia saa moja mpaka saa hizi sijapiga kura. Na makarani wameandikwa wengi. Kwa nini wanafanya sema karani ni moja? Waleta makarani wengi. Gari imetoka hapa waende waleta makarani. Si karani moja peke yake afanye hiyo kazi yote. Kupekua vitabu, mara sijapa nini? Hakuna watoto wamesoma. Waende haraka waleta karani mwingine. Kwa sababu angalia, nimesimama kwa hii miti tangu saa ile sijasonga. Kuanzia saa moja. Hata huyo afisa anajua. Ama mnasema urongo. Alafu ona bora ngapo wanao. Inastahili wafanye haraka. Sasa tunakuja mapema
Yes.
Ngoja. Wacha tumalize then tumwachie. It's okay. Thank you so much for talking to KTN News. We've seen you've just cast your ballot this morning.
Yes.
It appears that there was a problem initially. What was the issue?
The problem was issue of my name not being readily gotten on the register. But after consultations, because they told me that I can go ahead and vote. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is now the second time the party is doing it. As an aspirant, are you confident in the entire process that the nominations will be free?
I'm confident we have had a good campaign, an interesting campaign. Apart from logistical issues, the major issue I've realized is the issue of missing ballot boxes for 2 polling stations in Sarangombe ward. That is Ayani Primary School and Kibra 42. I've talked to the returning officer who has told me there was a mix-up, that the ballot boxes which were meant for these 2 polling stations were misdirected to Makadara constituency. I've spoken to the ODM chairperson of the elections board and she's told me that she's addressing the issue. What I'm asking is that if ballot boxes, ballot papers are missing in one given polling station, but ballot boxes, the names which are there on the ballot boxes in a given ward are the same, then perhaps they could explore the possibility of directing rerouting certain ballot papers from other polling stations, which are more than enough, so that those people can vote. We are now going to 11 o'clock, and they have not seen the ballot papers up to now. Yes.
Do you feel that this could affect the integrity of the process?
Well, these are challenges. I don't want to impute an improper motive on anybody's part as at now, but the feeling on the ground is that perhaps it could be a systematic plot, yeah, by somebody somewhere to disenfranchise voters in that area. But personally, I don't want to impute an improper motive on anybody's part for now. Let us give the officials the issue. I've raised it at the highest organs of the party as far as the elections body is concerned. I've talked to Madam Judy Paredo, and she has assured me that she's addressing the issue with the returning officer so that they get a way out of the impasse.
All right. In regards to the competition, this is a constituency that was once represented by the party leader Raila Odinga.
Yes.
We have the incumbent who's seeking a re-election.
Yes.
What are your odds? Are you confident that you'll be able to clinch this?
Winning the seat. I'm winning the seat. I'm confident. I would not have thrown my hat in the ring if I was not confident of winning the seat. And I hardly ever start a journey which I cannot complete. That's not Eliud Owalo for you. So I'm sure I'm winning the seat. You can take that to the bank and earn interest.
What makes you feel you're a better candidate than the other two competitors?
My track record is known. There's a very big divide between me and my competitor. My competitor is a conformist. I'm not a conformist. I explore alternative options. I'm a change agent. My track record as a change agent and a human rights advocate in this country is known, not just in Kibra, but the whole country. I'm known for that. Yeah? Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking to KTN News. That is, of course, Eliud Owalo, who is one of the aspirants for the Kibra constituency seat, just casting his ballot a few minutes ago. Initially, his name could not be identified in the party register, but that was quickly sorted by the party officials within this particular polling station at the old Kibra Primary School in Kibra constituency. Eliud Owalo is facing the incumbent, Ken Okoth, as well as one other candidate, Martin Oduor, who are hoping to carry the ODM ticket heading into the August 8th general election. But as you can see, the people here have been able to now begin the process of voting, and within this particular constituency, the turnout is, I could say, overwhelming. A large crowd has since gathered here. They've all lined up to cast their ballot since morning, covering Langata and Kibra constituency. This is perhaps the largest crowd we have seen so far, and the method that has been used in this particular polling station is very interesting. That line you're seeing right now is for the gents. The gents have been separated from the ladies. So the ladies' line is over there, a significantly long line as well. They've separated the females and the males, but the problem initially has been that the lines have been moving really slowly, and the issue apparently is that there is only one clerk within this particular polling station, and that single clerk has to handle this huge number of people. So we are going to be monitoring the situation as at now, as we try and see if we can speak to some of the people here to tell us perhaps the mood of the people. Tunaona madam, hebu tueleze, tunaona unanungunika, shida iko wapi?
Nimekuja hapa asubuhi sana. Na alafu tena mtu anakuja anaenda kwanza na kabla kama nataka kuongea na watu angekuja ongea hapa nje. Sasa unajua mimi nataka nipige kura niende nyumbani nitengeneze mahitaji yangu ni mengi.
Ulifika saa ngapi? Labda mnolongo na songa?
Nilifika hapa saa 12 kamili.
Sasa ni saa 5, bado hujapiga kura?
Sijapiga kura na tena isitoshe sijaweka kitu kwa tumbo. Hata watoto nimewaacha tu hivi. Sasa mpaka lazima ni complain. Hiyo ndio complain.
Wanasema shida ni nini?
Our Timothy Otieno in Kibra constituency, slightly more than 100,000 registered voters in that particular constituency. It was meant to be a 4-horse race in these ODM nominations for the Kibra ODM ticket before Rosemary Odinga opted out of that race. It is now a 3-horse race between former right-hand man of the ODM party leader Raila Odinga, that is Eliud Owalo, and the incumbent member of parliament Ken Okoth, as well as a third candidate, that is Martin Odor. Timothy Oton is keeping an eye on that, and also what's happening in Langata constituency. Shall be going back there to find out if the voting process is now moving in a more steady pace. Let's continue that discussion. We have to keep going, updating our viewers on what's happening, but we had started a very heated debate here about I cut you short, speaking about whether the Jubilee nominations were more credible than the ODM ones because of the high turnover of leaders.
Yes, I was making that point that during these party primaries, it's becoming very clear that it matters not your relationship with the party leader. If the folks at the village level, at the ward level don't like you, your association is not going to give you any fruits. For instance, we've given the example of Honorable Jamle Kamau. We said to be very close to the President Kenyatta, and in fact one of the architects of Jubilee. But for some reason, he was not able to translate his proximity to President Kenyatta to securing the votes. Actually, if you go to the entire Rift Valley province, anybody who was seen to be very close to the deputy president, apart from Caleb Kositany, all of them got a beating. And it's very interesting that even the governor from Uasin Gishu, where the deputy president comes from, that's Governor Mandago, was actually at the political capital to go against the Greens. And when you go to ODM, I think for the first time, Mr. Odinga let the party have a free and fair party primaries, because it's almost impossible to believe that he would let somebody, he would let his brother get a beating, or Jacob Midiwo, or any other person. And I think now moving forward, it's going to be very important for the party leaders to let Wanjiko exercise their views. That if you want to impose any leaders from the top, the voters are not going to be accepting that. And
but we haven't seen that turnover in ODM strongholds. Are you saying they are not?
ODM is extremely high. I mean, for instance, you have a gentleman like Jacob Midiwo, who we understand is now on a party primary, but has always been in the National Assembly. He got a beating. For the second time, Raila Odinga's own brother, Oburu, got a beating. There's even Felix Mbadi and Karoli Omondi. Their nominations are in contention because Karoli Omondi accuses Mbadi of rigging the election, and the converse is the case. One would have expected from Mbadi, who is a brilliant accountant and a finance professional, that's the kind of person who should have even been given a direct nomination right from the word go. But I think Raila Odinga said, let the people decide.
Ben, I think
an interesting scenario before Brian comes in on these political parties. A man, and we are tribal, sad to talk about this, but a low man was given a Jubilee ticket to run for MCA position, which is very clear in some places the premium on political parties. Because he had run before on an ODM ticket, he was told, we like you, but you're in the wrong party. So this time around, he's joined the right party.
A sign of political maturity.
A sign of, which is very rare, and which is something that we'd like to encourage. But now, looking at the bottom line, it's important for our leaders to know that they're not just going to be stepping on the toes of Kenyans every single day and expect to go without a fight.
Kenyans know more, Brian. Kenyans are more politically mature.
Sure.
They're more informed about what's happening in nominations compared to the last time. But are they any more credible?
Absolutely. In fact, that I want to tie my contribution to what you've said with the three classes of electorates. We have the participants, we have the subjects, and the parochials. That's political 101 for you, Ben. And parochials seem to be the majority. And the fact that they are more self-aware now means that the democratic space in this country is a little bit expanding. But again, to go back to your initial question where you asked whether it's a matter of credibility, comparing the various players, my brother here alluded to the fact that Jubilee seems to be more organized and more credible. But I want to refute that claim by saying that credibility, sometimes one of the variables that measures credibility is the number of complaints that have been handled. And if you look at the in-tray for Jubilee as far as the wing that handles issues of political party dispute resolution, they have already received a whopping 400 so far, the highest compared to all other parties. If you look at Wiper, they have not really had a lot in terms of addressing issues of disgruntlement within. And therefore, for Wiper, as much as the media did not pay much attention to their affairs, there were little in terms
we
of...
did. We were live in all those places.
Yeah, you
Apart from
did, but
Machakos, where
the main
things
focus,
didn't
of
take
course,
off.
the main focus of course, Ben, was on ODM and the Jubilee, and therefore you could see there were little issues to do with disgruntlements within Wiper. So Wiper, to me, I can give them thumbs up, as well as ANC for Musalia Mudavadi.
What is your
it
take on what's happening in Machakos? You know, we didn't mention it a little earlier, but we don't even know where there will be gubernatorial nominations or not, whether Wavinya Ndeti has been given a direct nomination or not. What's really happening?
I think this is what I would also tie together with what Northeasterners are doing in terms of giving the so-called negotiated democracies to some of the people they agree upon. But this is not working for Machakos because democracy calls for people to participate in terms of that free will, that choice that they are given fundamentally by the law. And if you take it out from the people, then you are killing the very essence of democracy. This seems to be happening in Machakos, where Kiala ought to be in the nomination. He ought to have been gone through the process. But Wiper going to an extent of giving Wavinya Ndeti the ticket simply because she seemed to have come from, she seemed to have folded her shop and enjoyed the bandwagon of Wiper. That is not a democracy, because as much as you want to exercise that fairness on the ground, you need to treat these people on an equal footing, where the will of the people is seen to be exercised at the ballot. But the moment you do not conform to that, then you are absolutely throwing democracy out of the window. And again, I want to say that Kiala is suffering of what we can call his own political nemesis, a punishment of his own making. He ought to have known well, he ought to have understood. As a politician, you have to read the mood on the ground and do calculations. That would really put you in a comfortable position. But he never did that. He waited until things really did not work for him, only for him to start, making these kind of moves, which seems to be rubbing the people he seems to be inclined to in the wrong way. Because initially we were seeing Kiala rubbing Mutua in the wrong way. Now this time round, he has started on a wrong footing by taking even the party to a court of law to deliberate on it, which is his democratic right. Again, we are starting with the party on a wrong footing, because that is going to again...
On that Wiper where does the Wiper leader seems to be balancing between who he thinks are his generals in terms of who can fight for him and who can win votes for him? But where does the party draw the line between that, looking out for your party, and also making sure that the democratic aspects of the party
I think it's a tricky situation for the Wiper leadership, for the simple reason that you have Honorable Wavinya Ndeti folding his party and joining Wiper, and therefore you're pushed into a situation where you're looking at her as somebody who has brought a lot into the party in terms of perception. And then you have this perception that if you have two strong candidates, you need to subject them to the electorate. And looking at the grand scale of things, I'm tempted to believe that they wanted to work it out in the boardroom and find some way of consensus, which is not working out for them. But fighting a political party on which you want to ride to power is a no for any politician. And therefore, I think Kiala is putting himself in a very precarious position, because ultimately I think the party will have its way. And from what I'm seeing, it's likely to be Wavinya Ndeti without a primary.
All right. What do you think this was?
But, we have said times above number that we don't have political parties in Kenya. Special purpose vehicles is what we have. And Wiper is in the hands of Kalonzo Musyoka. So his word is law. And he wants to ensure that the entire Kamba nation supports his ambition. That's why he was able to invite and accepted Professor Kivutha Kibwana to come to the political party, Wavinya Ndeti, and also working closely with the Charity Ngilu. Kalonzo does not want to spend time in the Kamba nation doing a lot of campaign. He wants to go outside the Kamba to go and convince people that the Raila ticket is the best thing that can deliver the presidency for NASA. So if you are Kiala and you start fighting your party leader who owns this vehicle is the one who established it, probably the one who wrote the first check, it's a no-brainer. You're really wasting your time. He's actually shooting in the dark. What Kiala must do today is to look for Nyenze, they go and have a cup of tea, and now the two of them go look for Kalonzo and go and, ask for forgiveness. Because attempting to fight Kalonzo today, you are shooting in the dark. You are going to make no progress. And if he's not careful, his political career will come to an abrupt end. And for Kiala, it's complicated that he doesn't have a fat bank balance, like, say, Alfred Mutua.
He didn't make it.
Who is able to manipulate resources and, he can do things.
Right.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a political party. part of the reason why Dr. Mutua decided to establish his political party, not because he really wanted a political party, but because he knew there would be no space for him within Wiper. So he set up his own political party, Mandela Chap Chap, which is gaining a lot of currency. So even for Kiala, he should have anticipated, he should have read the stars to establish that he's not the preferred candidate. I can almost bet my head, even in the absence of Wavinya and Desi, still Kiala would not be the candidate for Wiper. Because what Kalonzo is looking at is what happens to him today in the event that are, in the unlikely event, or depending on where you are seated, if he doesn't become the deputy president and Mutua becomes, or rather Mutua retains his position as the governor, it will be a chapter in history book. So Kalonzo would rather have Wavinya Ndeti, who is seen to be loyal to him, as the governor for Machakos. Not Kiala, who nobody knows how he takes his decision. Because, you know, it blows hot and cold. And you know, these are some of the basic things that you would expect a politician to read. And probably needs to speak with Brian and understand the science. Actually now, he should look for Kalonzo, plead for forgiveness, and he'll be guaranteed a position in the Machakos cabinet.
Yes. Let me go back to something that Brian said about the credibility of the election and the complaints that Jubilee has had. And I think from a common Mwananchi's perspective, Jubilee is doing fairly well, simply because politics is about perception, and what we perceive outside there are not those complaints that are registered privately, you know. And I think that is where Jubilee has scored highly, that they're sorting their things in a more credible and behind-the-scene way. And they are, you know, they have the advantage of this perception that Kenyans have that Jubilee is going to form the next government. Therefore, even when you lose, you have you know, a belief that there's something that I will get out of the government. And I think NASA and by extension CORD don't have that. There's that fear factor among most of the candidates, most of the aspirants who are losing out, because they are thinking, if I lose out, NASA loses, then I'm out in the cold. Right. And therefore, what Kenyans have right now, they're looking at what is happening in Migori, which is very unfortunate. A governor who won has been denied the ticket and is becoming a circus. They're looking at Professor Anyang' in Kisumu and whether he won or not, because Governor Ranguma is there. They're looking at Homa Bay and what happened. And therefore, what the public gets is an impression that NASA and specifically ODM is not doing well.
Let's refer to Jubilee. There's a lady by the name Emilio Manka who says that her votes were stolen. She went to the Jubilee headquarters to complain, and she was locked out. You know, like a street thug. Locked out, and she was there crying, shedding tears. Another fellow by the name Jaguar.
But now what happens
claims that
on that woman representative position, because the incumbent Rachel Shebesh was also causing a lot of drama on Thursday, saying that some people are trying to steal her vote. What's happening?
I don't know the politicians, what they normally do. When a politician is about to engage in mischief, there's a very high chance that he'll actually come out shouting that my votes have been stolen, so as to divert attention. So you actually never know whether Shebesh stole votes or it's Omanga. But what I'm trying to address is, if you genuinely think that your votes have been stolen and you go to your party headquarters, common sense would dictate that you are allowed to get in and make your presentation.
So you think there was meddling?
Yeah, there was meddling.
In Starehe?
Yeah. And then also, let's go back to, no, that's now for the women rep. Let's go to Starehe. Jaguar believes that he is won the elections. And then the president is visiting the party headquarters. He even gets an opportunity to, I don't know how they say it in the Black American, give him a hug and, you know, exchange pleasantries. Then the following day he's told, wait a minute, if you're interested in this position, look for Maina Commander and get into a consensus. I mean, this is the same guy who you're claiming who has stolen your votes. So you go to Maina Commander and tell him, hey, gentleman from Muranga, I like you very much. You've served in the National Assembly for a long time. Give me this position. I don't think that's the way to sort out this kind of a crisis. But the same still obtaining in ODM. Because for the Mbadi seat, people say Mbadi stole the elections and Karoli stole the elections. And the two of them have been told to go.
Which people are they saying this? I need to be, I don't want to be sued here.
No, you know, insiders. That's why I said there are, okay, let me clarify that to say there are allegations. Either of them are allegations right here. Either of them stole the elections. And they've been told to go into an upmarket restaurant, have coffee, and agree between them. Who was, I mean, how do you sort out an issue like that? Why can't the authorities at ODM say, maybe Mbadi will like you, you've lost, so Karoli runs with it, or Karoli, Mbadi is our party chairman, it's embarrassing for our party chairman to lose, we'll nominate you, or you are a rich man, you can stay up.
What are your thoughts on this?
Yes, Ben, I think just to tie into what you say and what he also contributed into, the issue of Jubilee turnout and the issues of dispute resolution, And still anchoring on what you talked about in terms of whether, you know, Jubilee or ODM did more in terms of credible nomination exercise. If you look at the turnout in most of the perceived Jubilee strongholds, the turnout was awesome. It was really, really shocking to see a candidate even garnering over 300,000. Even Nairobi, which has more registered voters, could not even match up what Kiambu alone could bring on table. And that's something that actually rings some bells, warning bells for NASA, so to speak, Ben. If you look at some of the perceived strongholds of NASA, particularly Homa Bay, where a senator won even with 1,500.
That is contested, though.
It is contested, but give me more numbers to actually contradict on what I'm saying. So that says something. Where a governor, a senator in central Kenya garners over 200,000 and goes through, and another one in Homa Bay garners 1,500. That, as I said, Ben, is something that we as the pundits actually need to create a lot of interest on the patterns that are possibly coming to play in August.
All right. I want us to leave it there. I want us to leave it there for now. I want us to take a quick commercial break. I want you to hold those thoughts. When we return, we'll continue this conversation. We'll also take a look at the big names that lost in the nominations, the big surprises. We'll talk about that here on Sunday edition. Many thanks for staying with us. Remember, today we are keeping an eye on Nairobi County in terms of the ODM primaries. We have our reporters spread across this city county of Nairobi. County number 047, we have Duncan Haimba in Ruaraka and Kasarani constituencies. We have Zinzi Kibiku in Roysambu. We have Akisa Wandera in Embakasi North and South. She's patrolling that whole area as Sophia Luna is in Embakasi East, West and Embakasi Central. We also have Timothy Otieno keeping an eye on what's happening in Langata and Kibra constituencies. Sharon Momanyi is in Dagoretti North, Dagoretti South and Westlands. And we have Mark Namasa who is checking out what's happening for the ODM nominations, the polling that is currently undergoing, that is in Starehe and Mathare constituencies. We are spread across the breadth of this very highly populated county of Nairobi. We shall be giving you what's the latest in terms of the ODM voting process underway in most of the polling stations. Don't go too far. This is Sunday edition.
How many minutes is it?